you remember, LinkedIn many years ago had, you could only add people if you know them. Okay. Now they have taken that off. It was there. And if you still want to connect to somebody and he declines it once or twice, after that you have to go through a series of additional information to go back. And I like that thought. Till date, I don't accept somebody whom I don't know. So even if you go into my LinkedIn and name somebody, 95% of the time I would know. 5% why? Because now I go to colleges, so some students keep getting added, so I may not really, but then I still vouch for the people who are there. And that's, I think, all about that, what we are talking about. Connections are something that we build for lifetime. Yes, some are not, as he said, may get during a professional period, and something which continues for longer. I totally agree, there is a percentage of that. And my years ago, I had an opportunity when one of my super seniors in college called me. Somebody introduced me to him and said he's in trouble, he needs help. So you better meet him. So I met him, and I ended up in a job which I still retain 17 years later. So that's something that I went there to help him out, and then he quit. I have been there, and today I've ended up heading the India entity for them, all of that. But then it came because of an intent to solve somebody's problem, which in turn I got rewarded for it. So maybe my goodwill got rewarded, and that's ultimately all about that, right? Life is all about that. And coming to retirement, I like the thought of retirement, because probably we are all at that age where we are looking at, we want to live a life to be fruitful, socialized with people who are intellectual, who are matching our wavelength of thought process, and all this is an investment that we make today. So meeting people for a coffee, meeting people over these kind of sessions is all about that, and I'm here again today for the same reason. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Deepika. I'm in a fast-paced startup called Agilitas. We are gunning to make India's first sportswear brand. India deserves a pride of place when it comes to sportswear and athleisure, and we feel that we can, we have the capabilities and the capacities to do that. For us, I've spent so many years at Puma. I was about 13 years at Puma, and then now coming, starting this up. For us, I feel like that's what I keep telling the team, that external partnerships and networking is of utmost importance, because it's not just for favors and things like that. It's also for upskilling yourself. Sometimes you're meeting, like I've been doing talent acquisition for the last 6-7 months over here, and the number of people I've met because of just meet them. They might be, it's for work also, they're looking for a position, do you have something? And sometimes it's exploratory chats that you call nowadays. But there's so much to learn also, even about what the other industries are doing in terms of best practices and all of that, as well as when we were at an established company, and then we've, as you said, moving out of that established company to start something new, because of our connections and because of the kind of people we worked with, vendors, external partners, even as small as print vendors and all of that, they came to use when we started off. We started off with 4 people, and the food vendor who used to do food at Puma called me up and said, even if you're 2 people, I will send food to you. That's the beauty of having these connections. It's not only for favors, but it's also, I think, this mutual benefit and the mutual respect and trust that you have with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think while everybody spoke about professional connects, I think I would like to quote an example on the personal side. I got introduced to my wife through a common connect, because he knew me and he knew my wife, and he thought we had the same wavelength, and he connected us, and married for 20 years with 2 kids. So I think that's been one of the biggest life-changing connections that I had. On the professional side, I would say the reason why we have something like HSBC Innovation Bank in the country today is a chance introduction of 4-5 people that your story did for me, Shraddha. In fact, Kunal Shah was one of the guys in that, and he caught up with my global CEO. And that's where the whole idea stuck. Hey, why are we not looking at startups and supporting them from early stage, even though they are pre-profit? So the whole genesis of Innovation Bank actually started on that day, way back in 2018, when obviously some of these companies were very small, but then we thought that these are the next Metas of the world or Googles of the world. So what Shraddha did that day for us, introducing us to the movers and shakers in a room, caught us got us to build this business to where it is today. I think so. Some of the large scale decisions happen in a very small chance meeting, more like a social connect, both on the personal side and the professional side. I would say I think this is really a hidden thing, but I think it's very evident. Everybody needs network to scale up, right? And LinkedIn is a great example. So a lot of connections happen on LinkedIn. I don't say no to anybody.
Okay, I think so. Thank you. Let me give you another pointer for carrying this discussion forward. I want each one of you to tell me 1 to 2 of heuristics or principles that you would suggest to build this networking of accessibility without burning the social capital, right? Which doesn't goof up and it ends up saying that no, this guy has in the past goofed up, so the social capital is burned out. I want you to give me 1 to 2 principles for the maybe the managers to leverage this networking of credibility or the access without no having any debt on our social capital. One by
Let's
one.
start from there.
Yeah,
actually,
please. Yeah.
I think principally I would say you'll have to be genuine to the person, like in terms of just be as a banker, I would say trust and integrity are the largest thing, and you have to be transparent. So when you're making a connection or you receive a connection, you have to be upfront and say, this is what I believe, and full transparency has to be there. Though you might not want to reveal everything, but I think transparency is a non-negotiable when you're trying to build a connection, both either ways, when you're receiving as well as you're.
So in transparency, what specifically would you suggest?
You'll have to say, suppose I think somebody said this guy has a problem. Okay, now he didn't mince words saying that, okay, I'm just connecting you, please go and speak. But you actually gave a framework saying, okay, there's a problem, can you solve it? So that is like you're giving some information upfront so that you have a picture of why you're getting connected to it. So that really gives you a context, and then you build on top of it, right? So I think being transparent and completely giving information becomes a big reason why you're doing it. Like if I get a lot of startup founders, early stage guys who say, okay, you know this fund, can you connect me? So even before I do it, I get all information and then only I do it, right? Otherwise, otherwise I lose my social capital if I make a wrong.
Yeah, that's what we are worried of.
Yeah.
Credibility is also the currency, right? So when something is coming, it has to be credible. If it is not credible, then it's not worth also. So that is where it turns to be, whether good or bad. That is how it is decided.
It works really in jobs, you know? When you the 8-month thing, if that person was not a great candidate, I'm sure he would remember it in a negative way, not in a positive way. Today is remembering negative because the person who's recommending has put his credibility or signature saying that, okay, I'm giving this guy, so this guy is good, right?
Yeah, I think I quite agree because in HR and in talent acquisition, there's a lot of these things that happen. You know, can you introduce me? Some friend of yours will reach out to you and say, send this. Can you send this CV of mine to this company? Because we have a network that works, right? But I feel like being completely transparent at first is also to understand the problem statement, to understand what that connection is being made for, right? And then to also understand whether whom you're recommending it to, whether that person's problem is, because you know both if you are making the introduction, you know both the parties. Otherwise, and it's not frivolous introduction of someone you met on LinkedIn or something, right? So and there are so many real life examples and cases that happen on a everyday basis when it comes to, even if it's a good person, even if it's a good friend, even if it is interdepartmental, even if it is within the company, like because we have different brands that we are working with. Some brand requires something and someone comes and says, can I be a part of it? We'll have to have that trust to tell the manager that these are his or her things and this is what she can bring to the table or he can bring to the table. I think and that credibility, transparency, that this, so I tell even when people are interviewing, it's my line where we say that this is what we are building, and if you think that you are in a structured kind of an environment, then this is not for you. You know, this is we are here to hustle and we are making mistakes and learning from our mistakes. So I think that credibility, understanding both the parties' needs and being the voice is very important for your own social status also.
Yeah, very much connecting to the piece that she was talking about. When we talk about introductions, what do we really talk about? When we all have been introduced to a person for different reasons, but what's the first thing that you would have told about that person? Arey yaar, sahi banda hai, or a good guy, ethical guy, nice guy, good attitude. Have you ever spoken about skills? Have you told you coding must karta hai or yeah, something like that? No, right? We actually are trying to project an individual. We are telling what kind of a guy that guy would be for you to work with. You're not going to tell him his skills. Many a times we mix up skills to behaviors and we say, but ultimately we hire behaviors, not people, not skills.
Skills can be acquired.
Skills can be acquired, right? So, and when you do that, all this is what we talk about, and this is key. We talk about what that person is interested in, what that person wants to get into. Is he ethical? Is he honest? All this is very important, and that is what we are. When we introduce that to the other person, not about the skills. Skills are there in the resume. Everybody can read them, right? We have we have AI to read that today, but why still this is relevant? That's because we are gonna refer somebody for something else which is not there in his resume.
Yeah.
So that's
Just so I could add to that. So in Cisco, we strongly believed that let's hire people with attitude and not with
Over
skills,
aptitude.
because skills can be acquired, but attitude is something that comes in your DNA, right? Who you are, what credibility you brings onto the table.
exactly
So
exactly.
I
So-
think
Hang on.
the AI this thing. So right now with AI, you can have lot of beautiful presentations, sales pitch, but the human connection is now in today's AI age, it works much better actually. The currency value has gone lot higher, but only thing is you need to use it wisely. So if you just like that he is good, it's not going to work. You have to put your reputation behind the referral, then it works.
So that's where the currency comes up. So that makes it very valuable, right? So that's what I would, yeah.
So you were talking about principles of, couple of things. One is that I think what young people have to be prepared for, because that's one thing is, okay, everybody says he's a great networker, he has a great networking ability and all that. Communications, I was a very introvertish kind of guy, so it took a lot of experience before I got the confidence. But one of the things you have to be, from a corporate, but now I'm talking entirely corporate perspective, is you have to have that antenna. The why I'm saying is, for example, I've been in this private equity for 30 years here. And one of the things of being in a fund is, 10 different industries. Totally, I would have interacted with 40, 50. I would have been on half their boards. So when even in a gathering like this, today when I met somebody, the first thing I cared is, okay, this could be a useful connection for one of my companies. So the person has to be prepared for that he has to know this, he has to have, apart from the ability, he should also have the knowledge. So that probably is very important for young people to know, because that is how things happen, because you make. The second thing is in terms of I was just thinking that while there are different kind of connections, one is very casual, okay, nice to have, I will say. The other is, it's very essential. So there are two things. Nice to have, there is no, I would say there's not much of a downside risk. Nice to have, okay, you introduce him. If it works, it works. Somebody asking for a job, I know her, I'll say, okay, I'll resume. If it happens, it happens, it doesn't matter. I may get some goodwill. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. But need to have is, hey, can you put in a word, my proposal is there. Can you put in a word? Because you're in a position to influence. That has downside risk. So there it's not just about network, but it's about, like what you said, trust and years of having dealt with the person. And this is highlighted more because when I think about my wife, she's a very senior bureaucrat. She's very worried because for that they have only downside. They don't have any upside. So I think that's what, when you talk about connections and benefits and favors, there is some which are just casual and some which is very meaty and very serious. So you have to worry about it.